you're fine. You're right there.
All right, so I'll probably need my glasses.
Goodie, I love, love, love your pumpkins. I have them in a central area and they just sit there and gaze at me and they're so adorable.
Oh, that's funny.
The old lady was the one that got my attention.
The old lady, that was my mom. I named her Lottie for my mom.
Okay, that was beautiful.
Because when I put her sweater on, she reminded me of my mom.
Yeah.
It looks so hard to tell that it's fiber, not clay.
Yeah. Okay, these are really easy to do. This is what I use. Okay, the cookie cutters should not have anything hanging over them because you're going to be taking your needle all the way down. Here are the ones that I had. Oh, here. All right. These are some that I mean, you can make anything. I use these to make my little hearts. I have a bunch of little hearts. Now these two I finished, almost finished.
I think I gave my mom one of those and she loved it.
Yeah. Now you are totally in control as to how big you want to keep them. These are, I think I showed these before, at least maybe on a sip and chat. This was the star.
She's in control. I'm in control.
Here's the star. So you can make ornaments. This is the star. And you can see it's not all that much smaller.
Yeah.
It is somewhat smaller. So you have total control as to how big you want to keep these. But all of my hearts start out with this cookie cutter size. So all what you do, I don't know if you can watch, if you have me full face, I don't know if you can see what I'm doing.
Yeah, I see.
Should be probably closer, I don't know. Anyway, you just one of my hands. So, get a needle. So you just take some fiber. And you put it, yeah, just so it kind of comes, and you just put it in the cookie cutter. Try and, just kind of even it up. You don't put a whole lot in. You go around the edges. You don't go too. You
What
don't.
happened?
What
happened?
For some reason,
All right, there you go.
decided it was going to drift off.
You don't want to stab or felt too much into the foam where it's going to stick to the foam. Then you take it out and you turn it over, and you see how much. If you have any where it's kind of weak, where you have to add a little bit more, then you add a little bit more.
That was fast.
And you add a little bit more, and try and keep it. You can always add afterwards. Okay, now I would have done that a little bit more.
Using a single needle, not a
Yeah, I'm using a single needle.
batch.
What gauge are you using?
Whatever I listed in the instructions, I can't remember what the number is.
38 gauge?
No, I think it's a 40. It's one of the finer ones. I think it's a 42 something or other. It was in the supply thing that I sent to Cindy.
Okay.
So we can, you can use different ones, but when you're finishing it, this is a finer one.
Is that my phone?
This is a finer one, so you're going to want a finer needle to finish it. Otherwise it leaves holes.
I tend to use the yellow and green ones.
Yeah. Okay, and then when you get it to like, this could probably be a little thicker. You can see it's not very thick. You could probably do it a little thicker. And like I said, it's totally up to you.
Do you have favorite wool?
Not really, probably my Parendale. Okay, now you take it out. You take it out of so you just have your general shape, and you don't even need a cookie cutter. You can do this without it. You can just, you have a piece of paper and, you know, and basically have some fiber kind of evenly, put the paper on top and go around and do it like that. But this is so much easier just to put it in a cookie cutter. And then you start shaping it. So I've started, I've worked on it a little bit. You know, just, the reason why mine gets so small is because I do a lot of poking on the sides. And I shape it that way. So you go on the side, in the middle, and on the sides until you get to like over here. Here it's a little bigger. Now, if I wanted to keep it this size, I would not go so much on the sides poking. I would just concentrate on the center part if I want to keep the size. And I would just go lightly around the edges to clean it up. And if I wanted to, and just work on this until it gets, yes? Somebody had a question?
Oh, no, every time I turn mine over, there's stuff sticking back out the other side.
Yeah, don't poke it so hard and work so hard on the foam because it will stick to the foam.
Okay, well, it's not sticking, but it won't, you're awfully fast.
And there's been no
Well,
blowout.
Now, if I work on that, now see, I have, this one I'm deciding, I'm gonna make this into an ornament, so I want to keep it this size. So I will notice that my edges are a little ragged, so then I'll take a little bit more. And if you want a smooth side edge, what works really well is if you hang it over a little bit and then just kind of go over there. And then you got, that kind of smooths out your edge a little bit. And that gives you a nicer edge. So you can do that all the way around. Now, if you don't want to keep it this size and you want to make it into my little heart pins, then you just keep working. I do need my glasses. Then you just keep working it. And I'm poking it a little harder. Now, my little swirls, sometimes you'll notice that when you're working around the edges, that there's like a little hollow spot. And then I just poke that one a little bit more. And then I just form it. Ow.
Ah,
It hurts.
Yeah.
she does poke her fingers.
And then
Yeah,
you
I
just,
get my tetanus shot on Wednesday.
Yeah.
and then you just keep shaping it until you get, the shape that you want. Oh, that reminds me of something else. If you are working on an edge, this is just a piece of cardboard that I folded. You can put that in here. You don't want to poke yourself. And then
Oh, that's a good.
and that helps.
Ooh.
Now, to me, it's cumbersome. I don't like using it. But, if you have to get an edge and it's a really small piece, you may want to try that.
Because it hurts when you stab yourself.
But I just poke and swear.
Not you.
No, I just go, ow. Yeah. How do you swear in German?
Scheiße.
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 Yeah. And then you just keep working it, and you totally decide the size that you want. Now, when I bring mine down, I also keep one side fairly flat, because that's going to be the one that has the clasp, and then the other one gets rounded out. So you
How
can,
do you round it out?
it just ends up being rounded out because you keep poking it. You keep poking it and making it smaller and smaller. And as you're working it, the side that you're going to put the pin back on, that one stays flat. That one you work. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I'm just working on the top, and I keep that. This is the back. Now that this is going to be the front, then that's the one that I'm going to work more on the side, and that will just automatically by itself start doming and Now this one's a little larger than some of my other ones. If I want to keep it larger, then I would not poke so much on the side.
Okay, I'm just.
And then I would keep it that size, or I would just keep working on it. Now, let's say you get to this point and you realize you have, like this is a little hollow spot right here. I can see that I don't have as much fiber on this part right here. Then I just add a little bit more. You can always add more. And what I, sometimes, a trick that I found that if you don't want a whole bunch of fiber all over on the sides, I just use my needle and spin it a little, swirl it a little bit. And that makes it a little rounder, kind of makes it a little, so it's a little more directly to the spot you want. And then you just.
You wanted to know if it could come in.
And then you just felt it on top, you know, to fill out that spot. Now, when you get to this point, you're not jabbing it as far in. And that's how you smooth it out too, is by just, I go sideways. Oh, that's another thing. You never, when you're felting, you never go stick the needle in and then bend your needle, you will break it. It always has to go up and down. You can go this way, this way, this way, but it always has to be at, you know, the straight up and down. And I don't know if it's called 90, I don't know. But you can stick it sideways, you know, when you're working on it. And that smooths it out. Now, I was going to show you how are there any questions?
Not yet.
Okay.
Now, when you're filling up your cookie cutter,
Mm-hmm.
and you said don't put too much, do you then put on a second layer so that it's as big as cookie cutter?
If you fill it all the way up, so
Yeah.
you're going to have something this thick, it'll compress to some point, but you will never get it down to this. I doubt it very much. So,
Okay.
and that's okay. If you want to have a thicker heart and you want to have it kind of, you know, this size, you know, that's fine. There's not a problem with it. You're probably going to get a nice puffy, fat, puffy heart. Now this is probably the thickness that I go before I start condensing it. And like I mentioned, mine condenses this much because is this the one I was leaving? Yeah. So I was gonna make this one this size. This is the other one that I started.
Okay.
So,
Right.
so what I'm doing is I am just working the sides and the middle, but I come all the way around on the sides, and it will condense all the way down to the little heart that I do.
I'm making a gingerbread man, and his head is very puny.
Now the gingerbread man, this is the gingerbread man. Yeah, that was from this. No, it's not that one.
Looks like a
Teddy
teddy
bear.
bear.
He's a teddy bear. Sorry, he's not a gingerbread. He's a teddy bear. You can see how he kind of got very skinny. So because I pounded. So probably this one, maybe to be more successful, if I wanted it to look more like that, I probably would have put more fiber in.
And how thick is this black piece? How thick is your black piece?
My flat piece. Well, I've already been working on it, so I don't know.
I mean the cookie cutter. Show me how thick that is. Lower it some, please. Okay. This one, can you see this one?
I can't. No.
Okay.
Well, it doesn't matter. You just put as much in as you want, and then you can always add later on. This is just to give you the shape. It doesn't really matter how much fiber you put in. You obviously have to put a reasonable amount, otherwise you're not going to be able to condense it. Try and keep it even, and if it's not fat enough, then you can always add after. So I mean, this one I already condensed quite a bit, so I'm not going to be able to. I could probably make them fatter if I wanted to, but it would. Yeah. I probably should have started it a lot before I went as far in as I did. But the hearts, you notice the hearts, they're not, it's not that much different,
Yeah,
but I shaped it. So you determine how thick you want it. Now here's some
Okay.
little hearts. Now here's some really skinny little hearts I made from, where's that cookie cutter? From these cutters. This is a little heart right here.
okay.
This is a little heart.
Okay, but
Uh-huh.
up a little bit for that.
Might go
Well,
down.
that's better, yeah. just
Yeah, you guys,
Something behind it, a white, the back of a,
Here, just pull your,
back of it.
pull your vest inside, your blouse will be good.
huh?
Okay,
This?
yeah, that's good.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
See, this one, it's a little smaller,
Uh-huh.
but it's not as fat as my other ones. You can see it's a really thin one,
Yeah,
because I wanted to make something like this a little
yeah.
doojah thing.
Well,
So
I
you
guess,
determine how thick you want it. Like this is, here, these are the two from the same cookie cutter, and I started, this is another one that was, this is even closer to the beginning, because it still basically fits in the cookie cutter. And I just work around the side. This one I'm working around the side, but I'm gonna decide that I wanna make this one into an ornament. So I'm gonna leave it this size. Which means I'm gonna concentrate more on felting the middle, so I'm not changing the size.
yeah,
And then I will, as I mentioned, I will take the fiber to clean up the edges. I'm not really at that point yet, but you just put it like halfway in, and then you turn it over, and then you'll have it'll clean up your edges nicely. I mean, you're still gonna be felting the edges, but it'll clean up the edges, because sometimes the edges, you'll notice on your cookie cutter, they get a little thin, So if you kept it just like that, it might not be as even. But that's not a problem when you're making these little hearts, because that's basically how you're condensing it, is by going into the sides.
okay.
You can already see how this heart has gotten smaller, just a little bit of work that I've been doing on it.
Well, I just want him to be able to hold up his head.
And like here's a heart that's very very thin. These are, this is just when I was doing them in the beginning. I don't know what I'm going to do with this, but yeah. And then so they're all different shape things. I don't even know what I have all these. I guess I was going to make some more of these things, because they're really thin.
oh, those are fabulous. Look, isn't that great?
Yeah. So
Oh, I can do that with
this. Yeah, so I just beat it, and
Yeah. Where'd you get the drawings? Cookie cutter.
okay, so
This year?
any other questions on the felting? I'll show you how I finish them, and how I, well, here's a dog bone, and obviously it's not at the point yet, but you can just work on it. And if you want to keep it this shape, I don't think I have my dog bone one. You want to keep it this size, I should say, then you wouldn't compress so much on the sides. You would just compress on this side over here. And you'll see that it looks kind of, you want to have the edges finished a little bit more. Then you would use that, I don't have the right color, but then you would use that technique that I mentioned, where you would just fan out the fiber a little bit, put it in the middle, and do it one side, and then do the other side, and then you get a nice edge. And then, of course, like I said, you still have to finish it. Okay, any questions before I get to the decorating?
Nope, I don't think so.
Okay.
This is so
Now you
cool.
can't. Question?
No, I just said this is so cool. I'm fascinated.
Okay, now, this heart, I just had a little decoration, and actually, a lot of times I will stitch on the little edges too, but I didn't want to take away from the edges, the gold. So I just took a little bead and went through the hole and then went down back again. And then I found, I made this one up from some beads that I had because it goes together. So you could just do something like this. Or what I normally do is if the fiber is two-tone, you really just need the beads. You don't really need to be doing any stitching, but I like to do stitching on it. Now, besides using, now when I do the stitching, I use 1 ply of the embroidery thread, just 1 ply. I also, what I used on this one is this thread, double, and a double, or I've used this colorful one, which works, and that's why it looks kind of sparkly. So you can use that too, but it's double, where when I'm doing it the other one, I just use a single strand. Now, okay, all right. Which one was I gonna do? My purple, I think. Yeah, my purple.
Are the felting needles rougher than normal
Felting-
sewing needles?
Felting needles have barbs at the, well, barbs, little hooky things on the edge of their needles, and they come in gauges. And I don't have my gauge list in front of me. This is a fine one. I think it's a 42. And then there's some other ones that are fine. And what they do is they grab the fiber.
Right.
And then they kind of like mix it all up.
Okay.
Felt it.
Okay.
It felts the fiber. So the larger, I think it's the finer, the larger, the lower numbered ones, and there's triangle, there's I don't know, there's all sorts of different ones that for different purposes. Now the rougher, the larger needles, which actually has the lower numbers, are like for really rough work, like you're just starting, like you want to make a ball, or you're just starting a sculpture, and you have a lot of felting to do. You're not going to use a fine needle; it'll take you forever. So they just felt really heavier and more, and the more dense thing.
So it's like
But
a
if you use-
crochet needle, but the
Yeah,
barb
well,
is sharper.
there's some barbs, they're all designed a little differently, I didn't read up on my needles for today, but if you use one of those type of needles on the finishing work, you will get holes. It will not give you the nice smooth finish that you can get on using the finer needles.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, I've bought them off of Amazon for like kids
Yeah.
projects, and they snap really easy, and they're
Right.
pretty. If you want to do something fine, pays a little bit more. And
Well, I
there's
get-
a place like Living Felt. And
Yeah, I get my needles at Living Felt or at Weir, WEIR Crafts, I think it is. They have a lot of Kumi Himo. Did I say it right, Kathy?
Yeah.
Himo. They have a lot of that stuff. It took me a while to figure out how to say that. But I decide where I want my burst to go, my little burst. I'm gonna decide I want this one here. Now, when I start, I always like to go on the back side, and I don't like to have any of those straight things, and you guys know how to do this. So I start from way from the top, I go to close to the bottom, and then I do a double stitch, and then I knot it. And then I go to the spot that I want to go to. So let's say I want to start right here. And then I just stitch. I do running stitches, I don't do anything else. Oops, okay, that was a little too hard. I pushed that too hard. Yeah, you don't want to pull too hard because it'll get caught get embedded in the felt. And then I go from the other side and I decide where I want my next stitch. And I usually have a nice light so I can see what I'm doing.
Yeah.
See, I don't know my light, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But now you're using just sewing needles.
I'm using this is just a regular sewing needle, and I'm using embroidery thread, and I took I don't know how many plies it is, but I took one ply out.
One strand, okay.
I think my first one's crooked, that's the problem. My first one's crooked. So I'm gonna have to follow that direction. No.
If you wanted to sew on beads and such, would you use just the same thread?
Not the embroidery thread. You really have to decide find out if your beads are gonna go through your regular sewing thread, or you have to use an embroidery needle. I mean, beading needle.
Beading needle.
Okay, let's see if I can get it this way, if I can find my direction. I am having a really hard time with the lighting in
That's what
here.
happens when people are staring at you.
Yeah.
My fault.
No, I can't see the direction. No, I'm okay. I'm not gonna do a whole lot of stitching, because you guys can get the idea. So I go, thank you. I just go from the bottom, and then, then find my needle. It's just a running stitch. That's all I do. Okay. No, now you're giving me shadows. Well, this is the last one I'm gonna do, because you guys get the idea, right? And then I just follow my, whatever pattern I want to use. Here I started crooked because I couldn't see what I was doing. But this one's gonna go this way, then I'll have another one here and here, and I'll just decide how far I want them to go, and I usually go like 5, an uneven number. Okay. Then I get to the point where I'm beading. I was gonna show you how to bead on that one, but that's okay, I can show you a beading. Now, unfortunately, I took some beads that are really small, and I just spilled them all over the place.
Well,
These are 11. I think 11 is probably what you're gonna wanna use. You can see if the beads are too big. Some of the beads I think I've used in the past might have been a little big, but, I think 10 works okay too. Beads all over the place. So, now because I have to use the beading needle, I am using, where's my thread? This is a thread that Cindy gave us a long time ago on one of the projects. So
Yeah, it's called Silamide.
Yeah, so I use that. I use this sometimes, and other times I just match up the color. God, I can't cut anything. I match up the color, like on this one. I use the same color as the of the heart to do my beading, because that's basically what's going to show up. And I think this one will be okay for this. I'll take this all apart later on. Well, I haven't done a whole lot of, this is gonna be fun.
yeah.
Yeah, that wasn't bad.
Yeah, it sure is.
Well, this thread is nice for the beading needles. And I do it the same way. I just start, you guys can see what I'm doing?
Yeah.
You can see it enough? Okay, I just do it the same way. Obviously, the heart is not ready. I'm just gonna tell you basically how I do it, because I'm gonna probably take this all apart when I get home. The same thing, I just start in the direction, stop laughing. And I hide the tail, and then I find out where that comes through, and I do the same thing, and I do a stitch. 1 or 2, okay. Then I find out where I want my bead, and I come through to that. I keep losing these beads. And I did this before last night to make sure the needle would go through. That's why I ended up with a beading needle. And then I just make my little stitch and I go all the way through again. Now, I like to go double where I went down. I like to go back up again on that side, and so that, because sometimes they lean, I just find the same spot, go up in the same spot and go in one more time. And go out. And then the bead is nicely secured. And then I would go to the next one. I do not worry what it looks like in the back, because I'll show you how to hide that right now.
Yay.
You see that mess right there?
Uh,
I used to go in between, and it was awful, because you'd have to go this way and that way, so you don't see anything on the back. So I figured out a way so you can just go in and out, not have to worry about it, and fix that later. Okay, so now we are going to fix the back. You take the same color fiber. I always like to thin it out a little bit. And you put it on top, and you very, very carefully, can you see what I'm doing? Very, very carefully cover that up. You don't want to do really heavy stabbing, because I don't know if the needle is going to break. I don't know if it's going to do something to your threads. But all I'm doing is I'm just cleaning it up and very carefully. And it's going to take some more work so that it's all finished, nice and flat. Now also it was a little concave because I was doing the, pulling the threads through. So you can just add a little bit more. And and when I spin the fiber around like this, it adds a little bit of padding to it, so it's not all over the place. And then you just keep very, very delicately, I guess you could say. And you just work it and work it and work it.
Working, all day long,
until it gets nice and firm. And
I can barely see your hand moving. You're so fast.
Okay, so,
No, I'm not criticizing. I'm just saying
I didn't know if you could
you're
see.
so skilled at this. It's a wonder to watch your hand
Well,
move so fast.
it is funny when I teach the felting classes and I see people starting and they are like,
Yeah.
Well, my last class, I poked myself, I ended up with a black and blue thumb because I poked myself so many times.
Oh, no.
But I think it hit a blood vessel or something, I don't know.
What color?
Ooh, yikes.
Work with white.
Yeah, or have Band-Aids, lots of Band-Aids. That's a good idea. So you just work it until you get get it nice and firm. This still takes a little bit of, it's going to take a little more work on it. So are these little holes going to kind of not get so obvious, or am I? Well, I don't know how big is your needle.
You probably have a fat needle.
So now when you get this all done, I still have to work on this a little bit more. Then you have these little clasps, and what here's a small one and a bigger one. I use the 3-hold one. I like to open it up and I like to place it, I don't know, I think it's easier if you're going to be putting on a pin, if the needle comes from the bottom, because you could do it either way. Okay. Yeah. So what I position it a little higher, and I always make sure that when I'm centering it, that neither of the ends are going to be showing, at the end, on either end. And I always like to put it a little higher, not in the middle, but a little higher, because I'm afraid sometimes they might fall over. If you have something larger and you center it, it might fall over. So then I just use the.
We Zoom people are having a hard time hearing Goodie because there's a lot of noise in the room.
Okay, where do you want me to start? Where do you want me to start?
You said you center the pin and put it a little higher.
I I put the pin a little higher. I don't have a finished one here to show you. About right here.
A little above center there.
Yeah, because I don't, it's actually probably the widest part, because sometimes I'm worried if you pin it on something that it doesn't fall over. So this has a, like, because if you put it down here, it may not, it's not very heavy, but who knows? It may just position funny if you don't have it on higher up. And then I use a needle and thread, and I do it the same way. I just hold it and bring my needle through just the same way. And that's a little, I would probably use one of the shorter sewing needles, probably the shortest sewing needle you have, because it takes a little bit of finesse to get underneath the holes, once it's on the felt. So definitely use a really small sewing needle, regular sewing needle, but a small one, not one like this.
You tried one of the half curve ones?
Yeah, not. Those are kind of thick. Okay.
Yeah, I know.
I've only seen the really
That's
thick
why
ones.
I got the thick one. But
Yeah, I've only seen the thick ones, but if that works, yeah, that'd be perfect. And that's it. I don't know if there's yeah, and I actually did the same thing on the star, is when I did my my beading. I went all the way through, and then I just finished it off in the back. It's the same thing. Now, okay, I think that's it. Any other questions?
Yeah.
Wow, this is so fabulous. The star, can you show that to us again? That was so pretty.
It's really cute.
So you didn't even have to put a pin on, because that's an ornament, right?
This is an ornament. Yeah, I made it as an ornament. And this one I beaded both sides. This one I beaded both sides.
Oh, wow.
I think what I did is I just came out the other end and put another bead on it, and then came out the next, went through again, put another bead in and went through, so that it would be double beaded.
Oh, that's clever.
On that one. And this one, oh, I forgot. You quilters would know what this is. This is a little quilting iron.
Yes, it is.
Now this works perfect, because it's a little fuzzy at the end. You'll notice, even if you smooth it as best as you can using your finer needles, it's still going to have a little bit of fuzz. So then you crank up this buddy, and when you're done, and when it's nice and hot, you just go around the curves. Don't burn yourself. I've done that too. And you go around and you smooth all the little hairs on it. Now you have to be careful though that you don't hold the heat on too long, because it will scorch.
Burn it, and I see the
Wow, great idea.
Yeah.
It's scarier.
Now you can't. Now if you have some, I'll take scissors and I'll clip around where the fuzzies are. But this where it works really, really well. I do this on all my sculptures, and it makes a big, big difference, because when I have the little tiny fingers, and even though it doesn't matter, you're always going to get some kind of fuzzies. So this works really, really well to really get it nice and flat and nice and smooth. So these are nice and smooth. Is somebody? You would have tested that, right?
Yes.
Tina says yes.
Very smooth. It's very cute.
Very smooth.
I wondered how you got smooth.
Yeah, that's what you use.
Burning wool and.
Yeah, you use this little quilting iron.
Very nice.
Yeah. Well, you can also, now I use the coarser wools is better for this. The merino wool, you could needle felt it, but it'll take forever. And I don't think you can get it the same nice thickness and density that you can on the there's a lot of wool that has been donated to me. This is really wiry, this red that I was using, but it felt really well. This orange one, did I bring some orange? Oh, I think it's in here. Yeah, this one right here, this is stuff that Cindy gave me a long time ago, and I had to card it. Definitely wear my mask because I got really, really sick one time. I had really bad bronchitis because I didn't wear my mask and all the stuff was flying all over the place. And, but this is very wiry. I have no idea what sheep this is, but it felted really nicely into this little heart. I don't know if you can see it.
It's a sheep that lives in Richmond. That's all I know about it.
Yeah,
Is that where they grow orange sheep?
yeah, he's very, very, I don't know my sheep. Liz would probably know right away what it is.
Yeah.
But what my
Sounds
point
like a
was,
Lincoln or a Romney, yeah.
yeah. Now this is Perrindale. This is what I buy at Weir has the Perrindale, and it's a cross between, I can't remember. Liz, you may remember. I don't know.
Could you send us the sites that you like to shop on? Like perhaps send us an email?
Yeah, I could do that.
That would be lovely.
Yeah.
So I won't remember.
And so the reason why I was using the donated fibers, because I use that when I have the classes, so I can be confident that people are going to get good results. If I'm saying here, use this fiber, and it's not necessarily what I use. So then I start using it, and this one was also, I think, the same as this one, but it works perfect for this kind of stuff. Absolutely perfect. The little heart. And now this was a different one. I don't know. This one felted kind of funny. I'm not really sure what this one was, but you can also, if you want to make this an ornament, and you can just use a masking tape thing and make your circle. So you need a cookie cutter.
Put mine in there.
And this could be, you can make this into a globe, a globe ornament. It doesn't have to be round. You could just make a flat one. And then you can, if you want to have it like a little more 3D, you can always just mound it a little bit. So what else was I going to say? Shoot.
Well, one thing, if it's super wash, it won't felt.
Oh,
So,
okay.
it has to be not super washed fleece.
Well, okay, I don't think I have any superwash fleece. I was going to talk about the merino. I was talking about the merino. Now, if you want to make balls, little beads, then I would recommend using merino. Now, you felt it, you would, I use, I'll just do a new one. I don't have any merino with me, so I'll just use what I have here. But you would do it this is what I want. I use these little coffee stirrers, and depending on what size the diameter you want, you can use a straw. If you want to, depending on what you're going to put through it. Obviously, you can just put thread through it like I did on this one, but you may have something thicker, so you're going to want a hole, an actual hole, like an actual hole. I have no idea if I'm going high or low.
You're just fine.
All right.
Yeah, the
So-
lower you keep it, the more it'll be against the white background of the tape.
Do what?
The lower you keep it, the more the camera sees it against the white
Okay.
background of the tape.
All right, I'll try and keep it low. So all you do is just wrap some around your straw. And this is, like I said, this is going to be merino. And then you start just felting it. And I would felt, can you see what I'm doing? I start from where the straw is, and I felt down, and I felt around it, so it's going to stay until you get your shape. And you make it nice and even.
And what did the straw come from?
This is a coffee stir.
Recycle.
Coffee, that's what you
Coffee
said, yeah.
stir. I have a whole bunch of those. You can cut them, whatever. And then you just keep going around. Yeah, now this is merino. This is Perrindale, but to make the beads, I would use merino, and I'll tell you why in a second. Anyway, you keep going around, get the shape that you want, nice and fat, however fat you want it, whatever. Then you would take it to the sink. I would still leave it on here, and I would wash it. I would put some soap in some hot water, just like you do wet felting. and I would just use your hands and just scrunch it a little bit, and then you, rinse it. And then when it's all done, because you're using merino, it's gonna be smoother. It's not gonna be, the coarser. Now, I guess I haven't wet felted a whole lot of coarse fiber, but my experience with the ones that I have, it still is fuzzy at the end.
Yeah, the coarser.
Yeah, the
if you
coarse,
rip
yeah.
out such a coarser, it'll be
Right,
fuzzy.
right, thank you.
Yeah.
Because I haven't done a whole lot of that. But so that's why using merino, you will have a smoother finish after you wet felt the beads, is my point.
Nice.
And I made the beads for my bookmarkers, because I made bookmarkers and I have little adjustable beads on the end of it.
You see, if I was really ambitious.
Clever.
Okay, any questions on the beads? On the what?
That's a good.
Yes.
Because then you feel the firmness. Feel both the ornament and the heart. It's nice to feel them both.
Oh, the ornament.
Knowing her work,
I figured that was.
That's why I like to, in person.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you showed this because I was trying to do, but I was trying to keep it the same as you could.
Oh,
But I didn't.
well, you can't keep
Because I
it,
thought you were supposed to,
no.
but then I was unhappy and I.
Yeah, well, you can, that's the whole thing, you can. And if it's like too flat for you in here, you just add more for the middle. But to get the nice edges,
Yeah.
that's a really nice way of getting the edges. And then you just make sure you still have to felt the corners.
Right.
But that's how you get clean edges anyway, if you're doing anything, is when you're felting, is, like, let's say you want to have a clean edge when you're felting, you just put some on your foam, and you go in the middle, and then you fold it over, and you've got a really nice clean edge.
Now, how do you get this stuff off of here?
You can use use your fingers. You can, there's actually a little tool that they have that you can buy, but I don't think it works. You can use tape, I think. You can use some sticky tape.
Fingernail brush.
Yeah, fingernail brush, yes, I was trying to think of a brush. Fingernail brush will clean that, yeah. Now, yeah, see, I have a clean one that I use just for white. So I have lots of foam at home from all the classes. Okay, any questions?
It was fabulous.
Thank you. Wonderful goodie.
And I'm so glad you showed that with iron, because I've like shaved stuff, but then you're scared you're gonna get a hole in your thing.
Wouldn't that make it,
No, it
still
works
fuzzy?
nicely.
Does it?
No, I made
What kind of razor do you
bracelets.
use?
Just the same type of razor you'd shave your leg with. Really? Yeah. And so I made like bangles, and I did silk in them. And then you want the fuzz that's coming through the silk. Even though I use the merino, it still has some fuzz coming through the silk. So then you shave it. But I tried burning some one time because somebody said, but that's just too, I'm scared of fire.
yeah.
And that was not a good for
Well,
me.
if you do it outside, then you don't have the hazard.
No, I don't like touching the fire, but then I don't want to hand over something I've just spent a bazillion hours on and trust someone else.
Yeah.
I think I have some trust issues.
well, but you don't want to ruin what you just spent all
Right,
that
and
time
then
on.
my husband would probably do a great job, but then he has the guilt if he,
But
messes
the
up.
the iron sounds like we're trying.
Yeah, you just
Yeah,
have
the
to,
iron, and I do believe somewhere I have one.
it's a quilting iron.
Yeah,
It's for
it's a
seams.
little iron.
It's for seams.
It's nice and tiny.
Look at the quilting area,
No,
in the quilting area.
Yeah.
And it
Probably
has
a
the adjustable
clover.
down here.
And they're not that
Oval makes
expensive.
them, the number of people make them.
I'm still on,
Right.
I'm still on. You're welcome.
Okay, questions from the Zoom folk?
No, but thank you so much.
Yes, indeed.
This is
Do any,
fascinating.
I don't know which way I'm supposed to be
How
looking.
about you, Jessica?
You're
You have a
fine.
question?
do any of you want to show what you've accomplished during
Why,
this?
why, yes, I do. I have one. Here's what I have so far.
Show Claudia's face.
Oh,
Oh, neat.
Yeah.
Okay, oh, okay, let me get to Claudia.
Okay. He keeps going back and forth, back to the cookie cutter and that kind of thing.
Very cool.
He's got a long way to go,
Cute.
but
Uh,
actually this side,
Yeah.
that's better than
Oh,
the
Claudia.
other.
Yeah, so you just.
Very
That's
nice.
the bad side.
Nice and firm.
That's the good side. And
Yeah, they do have that, don't they?
yeah, and Goodie, I think that you're not supposed to bend your fleece, are you?
I'm not supposed to what?
Bend it.
Bend my
When you
what?
pull out one, when you pull one and delay it, you don't bend it.
I can't hear you.
Okay,
Wait a minute, what'd you say?
Oh, you're not
Yes,
supposed
you
to-
can.
you can
Bend my
bend it.
fleece.
She bent it around the edges.
Oh, did she? Because when I did this, then this made a lump, like, and you could see that it was a bent thing. And so I figured, well, maybe you're just supposed to have short straights.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you can, see, the one I was using is very, very short. There's really nothing to it. Yours is a little longer. So you
Okay.
can always cut the
I'm
fiber.
going to enjoy my
You
living
can cut
room
the
with
fiber
another
and make a shorter,
I'm going to enjoy
shorter
my
fiber
living room with
pieces.
yet another
But
Yeah.
also make sure that you, pull it apart and re-stack them.
Okay,
So that your cut edges are feathery.
right.
And
Yeah,
then you
'cause-
can use it. But you can always cut the fiber. I thought you couldn't cut fiber for a long time.
Yeah,
And then I was watching, a video on the lady that does jewelry, and I'm thinking, and I was in shock. I said, oh my God, you cut it. You're not supposed to cut it. But as long as you feather it out by pulling it apart and, and getting those feathered edges again, you're fine. You can cut it as small as you want.
yeah, I think I will, because where you bend it, it sort of makes a lump and then it's hard to get to
Yeah,
that.
well, see, my fiber, if you saw my fiber was very, I don't know what you call it, there was like no strands to it or whatever, it was very, it was kind of lumpy, that's why, I always pull my fiber apart anyway when I'm using it.
Yeah,
So what fiber do you have? You
pardon?
know, what do you have? Do you have a Parendale, I mean, you have a,
No, it's a merino, baby
oh, you're using
merino.
merino.
Yeah,
Merino's gonna be harder.
I think that's what it was. It's one of the ones I got from Australia.
Yeah, now, I noticed that there are coarser merinos that you can needle felt, which I was in shock when I read it in an article. There are different merino sheets, but the merino top that is usually sold is going to be more difficult to felt. It'll take you forever, and it's probably because they've straightened all those nice strands so nice and straight, because it's better for wet felting. So,
Yeah.
but you can mess it up, by cutting it and messing it, like, repositioning it. But I would only use that for the beads. So if you had like, Cordale would work well.
Yeah,
But Cordale usually is a little longer strands, and I cut those also. And then I either use my little combs, my little dog combs, to rearrange them or do whatever, to get them to the fluffy edges. Because
Right.
it's not gonna felt very well. You'll notice if you cut an edge and then you try and felt that, it's not gonna work very well. It's not gonna be smooth.
yeah, okay.
So any other questions? Everybody
Any
left.
other questions? We still have the full complement online, so.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm gonna show what I did.
Goodie.
You didn't make the bunny now. You did
I made that
later.
this morning.
She made the bunny this
I made
morning.
bunny this morning.
Okay, let me, here,
Yay!
Wait a minute.
Oh,
Aww.
he's a cute
Oh,
bunny.
you guys can see it?
Exactly.
Oh, that's wonderful.
back to,
And this is what I did here. And then I also did a little heart this morning.
Very nice.
I like your
Fun.
bunny.
Oh,
Wait
neat.
a minute, wait a minute.
I love the bunny.
So now when I make my cookies for my grandkids. I'm gonna felt something and stick it in there when I send it.
Put a little string on it and make it an ornament. Yeah.
I'll have to do 2 or 4. Or I'll be in trouble.
Or 6.
Yeah. No, I'm not doing 6.
Well, I have to. Okay.
That's cute.
Okay, now here's Claudia, I can show you. How come you put them back on?
I put it back so that the camera was where Kathy was.
Okay, here's Claudia, see my fiber?
Yes,
You see how it is? It's not at all like merino.
right.
And this is gonna felt a heck of a lot easier than your merino.
Okay.
And so so I would definitely cut it and then just, see, I would just do this, just keep going like this.
Okay.
And stretching it out. Now, this is my Perindale, which is, I the cross between 2 on it. Now, this was also kind of fuzzy. It's kind of like a bat. Any of the bats are gonna, this is kind of like a bat.
Yeah.
Any of the bats, you see there's really no long strands to it.
Yeah.
So if you want it, so it's not so lumpy, then that's what I would do, is I would cut it, and then I would keep going like this until you get your feathery edges.
Yeah. Okay. I won't bend it
And
anymore.
I think it will be easier for you to felt it that way.
Uh-huh.
Cindy had something to show us too.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay, let me get all the way.
Aw.
Sunflower.
That's cute.
Oh, cute.
I
That's
need to work on this, but
That's nice. Well, it's sure fun to do.
and only a
Oh,
couple
yes.
more.
Oh, gosh.
All I can say is if I wasn't paying good attention while I was doing it, I would find all those barbs going in and out of that thumb or finger very,
I really don't stab myself that much.
no, but you're coordinating.
Yeah.
You're kind of a professional, Goodie.
That's right.
Okay, thank you
I
very
got a
much.
little bunny.
Oh, good. Let's see.
Just remember to go along all the edges, and that'll straighten and smooth everything out.
Who had something they wanted to show here?
Liz does.
Liz.
Liz,
All right, Liz.
let me.
I've got a little bunny.
Aww.
Aww,
Isn't that cute?
Yeah,
it is.
yeah.
I think I made them pretty thin. So I think I'm gonna try and sew my name on and make that name tag that I missed that program.
Perfect.
Hey,
Good
So one
idea.
day when we finally all get together, I'll have a name tag on.
Yeah,
Yay.
Perfect.
That's good.
Yay.
good, yes,
Yeah, you can use it for all sorts of things, and like,
yeah.
if you wanted to make it a little 3D, you can always just fluff out certain parts of it. Maybe the body you want a little, stick out a little bit, then you just put extra fiber there.
Well, I like the idea that, you could use it to adorn something else
Right.
very nicely.
Mhm. Janet, how about you? What are you making over there, Janet?
I had a fun time, thanks.
Oh, you might know, yes.
Oh, fun.
Good.
Wait.
That-
Oh,
Day is right around the corner.
Shamrocks, lucky shamrock.
That's good.
Yeah, they show up real good.
Yes, they do.
I don't know how Goodie gets her thing so smooth.
I know.
No.
Okay, you have to, at the very end, when you're using your needle, you're only using the very, very, very tip. Very, very tip, which will smooth everything out. And it does take forever.
I got the spotlight on the wrong person this time.
You're not, it takes hours and hours to get it nice and smooth. But usually I'm listening to something, but you're just using the very, very little tip of the needle, and you're going around to get all those fibers in.
Oh, my golly.
hours and hours. Huh?
Hours and hours.
Well,
Yeah.
Okay, you're right.
Well, so does weaving, takes hours and hours.
yeah, everything does. But it's meditative. It's meditative. Here, you want me to show you?
Sure.
Now, let me take my needle. Get a needle. Now, I'll get one that's done.
I know if I started meditating, I would
Again.
find that I was holding my thumb.
Okay, can you see me?
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah.
so what you're doing is you're just taking just a very, very tip of your needle,
Uh-huh.
And that's what you're doing to make it nice and smooth. Of course, this one is smooth now because I used the iron on it.
Okay.
This one isn't quite done yet.
Have to go in.
But at the very end, you just go with tiny, tiny little stabs, and you go over and over and over again, and that'll make it nice and smooth at the very end when you want to smooth. And you have to use a needle that is a fine needle,
Okay.
like the
40, 42.
I think this is a 42 triangle. I think that's what it is. You'd have to look back at what I gave to Cindy, for
Yes,
the instructions.
42 was the fine and 36 or 38 was the coarse.
Yeah, that was the course. Now, you're not gonna, probably, using the 38, you're not gonna get you might get some, depending on also the fiber you're using, you might get some holes, that's not necessarily gonna disappear. But using this really, really fine one, there's another one, I use this one a lot. There's another one that's probably a little finer, but that's how you get the nice smooth finish on it. And then when you're all done and it's still a little fuzzy, this is what you use.
Uh-huh.
And again, it still depends on your fiber,
Yeah.
But this is a combination of all different fibers, and they're all nice and smooth especially after I use my iron. I really don't have any trouble with it.
Yeah. I think I've
Well,
got my
cool.
needles
Thank you,
somewhere.
Goodie.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
This was wonderful.
Yes, it was.
Well, I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. It's very
Yeah.
simple. There's nothing to it.
Anybody
It's
that
good.
has comments?
We like that.
Yeah, we do.
Please send them to me so I can get better at this.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing would be
Yeah.
to hear the far away people and us not talking when
Right.
everybody
Yeah,
else is
now, switching the microphone seemed
It's
to
a hard
make
problem
it
here.
easier for them to hear us.
Yes.
But still, yeah, if the conversations get too busy in here, it's hard for them to hear us.
Just like when we
Anyway,
were doing the tie-dye.
okay, well, I think I will shut off the recording.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Dave.
Dave.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
And
Thank you
thanks,
so much,
everybody.
Goodie.
I think for a first attempt,
Bye.
we did real good.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
did.
It did.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay,
Jessica,
let's
thanks
see.
for coming.
Yeah, it's such a colorful section you've got there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty.